Hey everybody, welcome to Carmeet Garage. My name is Don Middleton. I'm here with my buddy Carmeet Greg, and we're here to talk about him and his car and the thing that he created, basically Carmeet, which this is our very first episode of this, which is kind of a brainchild of Greg early in the summertime, and I kind of reminded him a little bit ago, and now here we are. So one of the things we got to ask as we sit in Greg's cold-ass garage is, what gave you the idea for the Bay City Carmeet? Well, essentially, there were a few car meets going on in the area, and the pandemic came around and everything just went stagnant. I noticed everybody was kind of having the same feeling I was, and we were just getting sick of sitting around, staring at our cars, collecting dust in the garage. COVID was happening, but the world was still going on around us. So I started inviting a few friends here and there over on the weekends, and friends started inviting friends, and before you know it, my property was pretty overwhelmed. You were there since the beginning, and went from a couple cars in the driveway in the grass to asking neighbors if we can borrow some property. From there, we ended up moving up to the Euclid Plaza, and we overgrew that property. We found our way to Kmart. The current property owners at Kmart are not car people, so they prefer that things of this nature aren't taking place on their property, regardless of our insurance and everything else that we try to make sure we have correct, legitimate, and we're doing everything the right way. So we're at Great Lakes Motorsports now, and we're actually looking into getting another piece of property that's closer to town, because we did lose a little bit of action from members coming in, being a little bit further out. Didn't really affect the bigger events like the burnouts and some of the other stuff that we do end of the year, beginning of the year. We still had a good year, but being a little bit closer to town, I think it's probably going to draw more people in like it was at the Kmart days. But now that car meet season is over and we can't really keep up with everybody, this is a new segment that we wanted to bring to the viewers. You guys. Yeah, so that keep engagement going, keep everybody familiar with everyone else's rides, and it's just, it's fun. If you're not watching some of your favorite YouTubers build their stuff, why not see what your friends and local people are up to? Well, you're always curious of what everybody else is doing. Right. And like looking around your garage, I think you have like 3 people's projects going on in here, which I'm pretty sure we'll do a pan around or something to show some other stuff. But it's there's a lot going on in here. And it's nice that you're offering your space to everybody, which the good, I guess we call you a good leader, does, is offer space up like that. If you get the room and you get the tools, right? And it's, if you get another set of hands around, it can benefit you too. That's 100% true. But so while you're in your garage, I know your pride and joy is your 67 Camaro back here with the big block that's actually sitting right here. It's not where it's supposed to be. No. Well, technically right now it's where it's supposed to be. But so what have we got going on here? Well, so essentially I am at the limits of what my internals can offer. This is pushing about 600 to the crank, and it's on all cast internals, and it's a 2-bolt main, which is not really optimal for adding more power than what I'm producing right now, and that's what I want to do. So I'm going to be putting forged internals in here. I'm still kind of tossing around the idea of using this block, and of course with it being a 2-bolt, I'm going to want to stud it, if not splay it, or have it drilled for a full 4-bolt. Or I could find a block that already has that, which I'm actually waiting on a guy on Marketplace to reply, but Marketplace is Marketplace, so right, not putting all my eggs in that basket. So once I do have the forged internals and the block built every way that I want, probably going to be getting a little bit bigger cam. These heads have been pretty good to me, and I'll use them for now. Probably could use an upgrade in the future, but for what I'm doing, they're perfect. And then on a cart on the other side of the car here, I've got all of the fixings for a twin turbo setup. Oh, nice. So now we talked about that.
let's get into the history of where that came from. Where did the 67 Camaro come from?
All right, so I was actually looking for a Chevelle. I'm a big fan of Chevelles, and this thing was posted on Craigslist back in Craigslist days.
For you young kids, that was before Facebook Marketplace.
It can be just as much of a nightmare, but it
Just
was
as toxic, yeah.
you just had to go to a different website to get that experience. So I see on Craigslist this 67 Camaro, and all it says is 67 Camaro runs, drives. I was looking for a run and driving car.
I mean, what more can you ask for?
So I go out there and I'm checking it out, and it had a 302 that was made to idle and do wide open throttle, and it ran on race fuel. The alternator wasn't wired to charge the battery, which I didn't know at the time. But I hand the guy the money for this car, and he's looking around and he asks, "Where's your trailer?" And I said, 67 Camaro runs, drives, right? Driving it home. And he's shaking his head.
Nice.
This is over by Grand Rapids, just north of Grand Rapids.
It's all a hike from Bay City.
There's a little bit of a bog. Yeah. He hands me a gas can with a splash of race fuel in it and some jumper cables. And this thing had a 456 gear in it with a TH350 transmission. So we get on the road, and this thing is absolutely just screaming. We're doing 60 miles an hour on I-75. Or no, we were on 131, heading back to 42. And I mean, we're at every bit of 4,500 RPMs, and you can't hear each other. The exhaust was cut off right underneath where the seats were. So the whole time, my buddy that was driving it for me, it was just, what? What? And the fumes coming in, our eyes are burning, and the car just dies. So we coast to the side, and the car we drove out in was following us. My buddy Mikey gets out, and he says, sounds like it run out of gas. Well, that helps because we got a little splash of gas. So we throw the splash of gas in, and we go to start it back up, battery's dead. Well, he was prepared for that. He gave us the jumper cables. We jump it, and we get off the highway, and it just keeps dying. So I flatbed it back home, and right away, I find a guy who wants to do a straight up swap for a big block. So I put a 454, just a factory truck motor. I just wanted a big block.
Still big block power.
Always wanted a big block, so I had all 285 horsepower of a big block.
Yep.
I put 700 R4 in it. I got a Mosier 9-inch rear end with some 410 gears that calm the RPMs down quite a bit. Now I can do highway speeds at about 2,500 RPMs, which is a whole lot more tolerable.
Yeah.
The exhaust comes out a little bit further, has a little bit better mufflers. I got some Flowmasters on it, and you can have a conversation in it now. So after the truck motor, races weren't going the way I wanted them to, and I just looking into what it was going to cost in the work to get something to do what I wanted to do, it just seemed smarter to get a crate motor from Blueprint.
They make good stuff. We have a couple of our friends that are running Blueprint motors, and they have great success with them. So they make good power, and your car gets down. I can attest to that. I've seen it. I think there's actually a sticker on the back end of it that says I've seen it. So,
your name's on there.
Yep. I think I'm the only name on that car.
Keeps it fun.
Right. So if I recall, just because I'm friends with you long enough, the car was red originally, right?
It was red originally, yeah.
So what prompted you to go black? Was that like a budgetary thing, or you just wanted to make it matte black, or other plans, or? Not
all the body panels were in great condition. The rockers were going, some of the quarters were going, floor pans. And I actually had a crazy incident where some guy was road raging, and he smashed into the back of my car like a handful of times at a red light. As you replace all these panels, they come black.
Right.
So now I've got all these fresh panels that are black, and it was either try to paint those faded, no gloss matte red to match the old paint, or just shoot everything black. At the time I was running, you can see my hood hanging on the wall back there. It's just a bare fiberglass hood. It was black. The vinyl top is black, tinted my windows black, and it just made sense. Let's just shoot it all black. And it's primer. You know, I didn't intend for it to stay black for very long. I had an idea for a paint job. But I can tell you right now, if you go and you get a first gen Camaro and you think of a paint job that you think you're going to be the first one to have.
Oh, someone's got it. Someone's got it 10 times.
You're wrong. There's a guy who probably painted the car that color, drove it for 20 years, and he's been dead for 10.
Right.
Who did the same thing that you think you're the first one to do.
Yeah.
So you really have to get creative. I do have plans for prettying it up a little bit, but I've always been a paint job last kind of guy. You know, I don't have $1 million in the bank, so.
Just like most of us.
Right. When it needs to go faster, it's hard to fix a scratch, fix a dent, fix a little bit of rust, put a paint job on it when that money can go towards making it go faster.
This is just a way and done. But now it's your identifier. You see this car coming down the road anywhere local, and you know that it's you.
Yeah, I mean, now if I were to change the color on it, it'd take a while for people to recognize me.
Right there. Who is that in that 67? Hey, Greg, did you know there's another 67 Camaro running around town? You get those calls all the time as a car guy. Hey, did you know there's a car just like yours rolling around town? This one, there's no mistaking it that it's yours.
I'm pretty sure I gave you that call the other day.
Yeah, 30th anniversary call, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Is that you? I probably am. But no, so now we got the car out of the way, and obviously one of the coolest part about the whole car is that your situation being in the chair and racing this thing like that. How was that? How was that experience? I mean, obviously you weren't born like this, so you know the differences that some people might not understand, that you might be able to explain to them what the differences are, the complications, stuff like that. Because I know people, I bet you people walk up to you at the car meet and they want to ask, and they don't have the balls.
Right.
I've known you long enough that, yeah, whatever.
You know, for me, for my lifestyle, there's a lot of problem solving involved. We have a saying where we have to work twice as hard for half the outcome. And when it comes to the car, it's really not that bad. If I was to just throw somebody the keys, yeah, they're going to have a hard time figuring this out. They'll probably put it through a wall or something before your muscle memory and everything is up to par. Figuring out the controls, the biggest thing is getting your emergency response built in, because for the longest time, when you need to stop, something jumps out in front of you, something happens, for the longest time, I still had the instinct to want to slam my foot on the brake pedal. And controlling it with your hands,
it's got to be different.
It's different, but you get used to it, you know. And then every time you do some upgrades, like adding the two-step, that was a little bit different. But you figure it out, you know. I mean, I think what I'm doing, given enough time and practice, anybody could do. You know, it looks different. And I'm sure people are real curious and have a lot of questions, and they want to see more of the inner workings of it. But I almost kind of shy away from that, because I really just want to be another person, you know. It does help sometimes when I'm posting videos online and I want to get a little bit more views and attention and stuff. You know,
right.
The wheelchair does kind of draw in more viewers because people are curious.
Right.
And you see people with all different from all different levels of injury. You know, you got some people that are completely disabled. They can't do anything without help and assistance. And I have a feeling that stigma has people, you see the wheelchair and you just think, you know, how does this guy do anything? And, you know, I'm just another guy. Right,
because you just pulled this motor out in what, 4 hours by yourself?
About 3 hours.
3 hours?
Yeah.
So, and it's honestly, it's an incredible feat, even for me or anybody else. 3 hours ripping a big block out of a first gen Camaro it's working. You're humping right along doing that.
Well, not having a hood on makes it go a little quicker.
Well, it's a little bit of a cheater of 4 bolts on you. But. So, beside the turbo kit, is there anything else that you plan on doing to the car? Anything upcoming with the car that you're going? I know that there's talk of Autorama, stuff like that.
Waiting to get the word back if we got accepted into Autorama this year. That would be really cool.
Oh, it is. It's an awesome. I've done it 3 times. It's awesome.
Just being on the other side of the ropes, you know, would be cool. But realistically, if I get this twin turbo kit on and functioning the way that it should, other than maybe a few interior touches, a little bit more suspension tuning and parts, in a paint job, the car's pretty much the way I want it.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Some guys never reach their end goal of their car.
I mean, it may never be done, you know, because once you think it's done,
it never is.
More parts are coming out.
Yep.
New parts, cool parts, different events. And your taste changes over time. You know, it's hard to really say definitively, car's done, don't need to touch it anymore.
Where it's kind of like back in the 90s and early 2000s, underbodies and stuff were like all the rave, and then from probably 2006 forward, they were like the dumbest thing you could do to your car. Yeah. Although they originated on stuff like this, on muscle car stuff, where they originated, and then now that's flashy lights and rock lights and underglows and light everything up with LEDs and light and neons and everything else. Well, no one's really using neons anymore. But,
LEDs really changed.
Right, LEDs changed the game because everything's affordable now. I think my first underbody kit was, oh God, I think I paid like $400 installed for that thing back in 2002 or 2003 or something, because God, that just aged me. But but now you can do a whole underbody kit for like $70 off of Amazon. And they're decent. Yeah. Not great, but they're decent. And do all sorts of patterns and
hardly draws any wattage.
Right. And with all that said, is there any way for the people to follow you and the progress of your car on social media?
Yep, I do. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. We'll put the links on the screen for anybody that's interested in following me outside of Facebook. And I mean, I think that pretty much wraps it up, right?
Yeah, and I do want to thank all the people who have sponsored basically Carmeet to get us to this point where we can do this kind of thing, right? Where we feel comfortable doing this kind of thing, where people are going to find some kind of value in it. And actually, we do have a whole big, long list of people, right, that have hit you up and said, "Hey, let's do this."
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's always ongoing, the amount of people that reach out to us and that we're able to network and cross paths with.
Right. So on that note, guys, thanks for tuning in and watching us kind of ramble and stumble through this, our very first time trying this. This is something that Greg and I are going to be traveling to maybe your garage, right, to talk about your projects and you.
We got a pretty good list of people already.
Yep. And if you do want us to come talk to you and stumble and ramble like we are right now, you can get a hold of myself or Greg basically through the page, because we're pretty much local at this given juncture in the road. And even if you're not, we have cars and gas. So on that note, guys, thank you very much, and wait for the next one.